This is Johnny with Tigerbomb MMA, and today I'm going to go over UFC Vegas 109, Dolidze versus Hernandez, giving you my thoughts, predictions on the entire 12-bout card. Not a very good card, mostly because Cody Brundage is on it. And very short notice, too. I would have watched it gladly, but now that Brundage is on it, I might just go, I don't know, fly a kite, literally. But yeah, pretty cool poster, though. Trying to, give it up for Hernandez and his Mexican heritage. But I'm going to give you my quick thoughts on this entire card, and I mean very briefly. Not really much to talk about. Everyone's overpriced, minus 500 favorites, minus 400 favorites. God knows what Cody Brundage is going to be against this bum McConico. McConico? Who cares what his fucking name is? But yeah, before I do that, I'm going to give you my quick breakdown and thoughts on the previous card, which was the all-Asian main event, which would have been Scribbles here versus other circular Scribbles. Tyra versus Park. And starting off with the first fight of the night. By the way, didn't do too bad on this card. Like, if I'm going to be real with you, officially 2 people wrong. Me taking a shot on the underdog, where I think he was justifiably bettable. Either way, Piera Rodriguez defeats Caitlin Souza. Souza put up a decent amount of a fight, but eventually when she got taken down, she cannot get back up. She had one good moment where she kicked the hips out of Piera and got back to her feet, but it was just Piera doing what she was going to do. Pretty good win for Rodriguez. I will admit, though, Rodriguez did look pretty impressive with the striking. She did not back down from the very butch and angry-looking lesbian Souza. Rafael Estevam defeats Bunes, as I like to call him, Bumes, B-U-M. Yes, props to Estevam. He didn't gas because he didn't make weight. And when I found out he wasn't going to make weight, I obviously bet him in a parlay. And he looked good. He was going to dominate. I'm surprised. Here's the funny thing. The round number 1, Bunes got the buggy choke. And I was thinking, well, we'll see how Estevam looks. But if he looks fine, he didn't look like he was panicking. He didn't look like it was that tight. But depending on how the judges view that, most judges may not know what a buggy choke is. All they see is a guy wrapping his legs around his arms and one guy on top of him. Luckily, these judges knew what they were watching, which is unfortunate because I hopefully would have wanted something different in a different fight. Because the PFL that same week, there was some bullshit judging going on that card, like some of the worst judging I've ever seen. It's like, literally, I judge regionals, and I do a better fucking job than these bums. But either way, good for Estevam. Did not gas out. This motherfucker turned off my lights. Oh, there she goes again. My girlfriend has a very similar setup in the other room, and then when she plugs in her lights or unplugs them, it fucks up with mine. Fun little backstory and lore for me. Anyways, Estevam looked good in the third round because he didn't make weight. Bashi defeats Yanis. As expected, I took Yanis by submission. I also put him inside a distance with another parlay. This one early cashed. I actually had the parlay was Austin Bashi's sub and Estevam to make it to round number 2 and win. So easily cashed. Pulaev defeats Klein. I bet Pulaev. It was looking pretty hairy there early, but Klein went ballistic to try to get a submission and a finish in the first round. And it backfired because Pulaev kicked the shit out of him in the second round. Finished him beautifully. And that's the thing with Pulaev. Like, he looks like garbage, but he's not a bad fighter. He's not a great fighter. I'm telling you, you give him a dude that has heavy hands, and he will crumble against the cage. But Klein, I've been saying it from the beginning, like, Klein's not a bad fighter, but he's not a good UFC fighter. You give him regional dudes, he'll run through them. Not impressively, but he'll run through them. The fact that he made it to the UFC by submitting a guy that they wanted, the UFC that is, that's the only reason he got in here. He's like, let me in, guys. I just got a submission. They're like, fuck it. Let's give him a shot. At the very minimum, we can get this guy finished twice and we can get him out of here, get our money's worth. We don't have to pay him like the big bucks, what they were wanting to pay the actual talented dude. What was his name? The Geraldo Souza, which I think he's doing pretty well. Last I checked. No, wrong dude. I thought he had a win under his belt. Anyways, moving on. Vieira defeats Tresean Gore. What a fucking bitch of a fight. I had this fight not to go the distance. Had this fight not gone the distance, I would have swept my parlays. But Rodolfo Vieira at Fighting Nerds, it showed that he had a brand new staple of actually outstriking Tresean Gore. Gore fought like a, and I hate to say it because he's a professional fighter and I'm not, but he fought like a pussy. He didn't try to win. He didn't try to strike against Vieira. He was too afraid. And at a certain point, when you're not getting taken down, you got to let your hands go, and he never did. And that's kind of embarrassing. He's 5-4. It's not all his fault. Again, he's very young to the, well, not young to the sport, but his record is he doesn't have that same experience, and Rodolfo Vieira showed him a class in MMA. Rinya Nakamura accidentally knocks out Nathan Fletcher. I thought it was going to be a decision for Rinya. I had Rinya in my parlay. Yeah, he kicked him to the belly, and Nathan Fletcher fell over. That should happen sometimes. I will, on occasion, say, like, I think, for example, Jim Miller, who will want to get the submission, will probably accidentally knock out his opponent on the way to trying to get the submission. Like, he has to set up the takedowns. He cracks him. Oops, he's out cold. And that's kind of what happened here with Rinya. Very impressive for the guy. Like, I need to see more of that. And that's a sign in the right direction, because I want to see him strike a bit more, be a bit more confident in his striking to mix in the takedowns a lot easier. And having the Gooch, as I call him, Kyoji Horiguchi, in his corner, that's like, who better to have in your corner for a Japanese fighter? Kevin Vallejos defeats Danny Silva. Now, here's what's funny. In a different world, I'm not going to make an argument that Danny Silva won the fight. He didn't. He fought like a fucking moron. But he fought tough like I expected, and he showed that he can hang with Kevin, because I was very unsure about Kevin, and at that line, he was like minus 500, 600. Ridiculous. I took a shot on Danny. And I will say, under different circumstances, I think he could have won that fight. I think they could have given him round number 1 and round number 3. PFL judges would probably give him a 30-27. But I think Kevin did prove himself. He showed that even with fatigue, he can still throw and land bombs pretty accurately. And that was my biggest fear. Like, if he can't get a dude out cold, which I didn't think he was going to get Danny out of there, how is he going to look? And he did look tired in round number 3. But here's the thing about Danny Silva. When I mentioned how good he is, he looked good everywhere. The dude was able to get takedowns. He was able to stuff takedowns. He was able to roll with the punches. He landed some good shots. He's a really good fighter, but his IQ is shit. His corner was yelling at him, push the pace. He's huffing and puffing. He wouldn't listen. And he was so desperate to prove that a 28-year-old Danny Silva was not going to get beat by a 23-year-old Kevin Vallejos. He was mean mugging and talking shit, but he forgot to fight and win the fight. So he lost that contest. So props to Kevin. He did look good. I think this would be a really good learning lesson. Despite him not losing and not actually like looking bad, it's something to keep an eye on, right? His cardio is not always going to hold up if you can't get the guy out of there. But I won't say I was like too surprised about Danny Silva. I knew what I was going to get into, especially considering the fact that he's got kind of stupid IQ. Mexican brain, if you will. But props to Kevin. I want to see how good this guy is moving forward, but I do think they're going to treat him with kid gloves. They're going to give him some very lesser competition with maybe a higher name value that he can put the fuck out. Next bout, Zaleski tires out defending Theo Magny. Magny fought like the way you're supposed to fight a bear. Get real big, just try to scare him off, and Zaleski was terrified. He went for the takedowns. He went for the clinch, which is exactly what Neil wants. Tired himself out. Eventually, Neil gets back up. TKOs him in the second round. Props to Neil Magny. Rosa, here's the funny thing about Rosa. I think I do put it beautifully when you're betting Rosa or you're considering betting Rosa, is that, like, she's probably going to win. She is going to win, but she might lose, so stay the fuck away from her. I actually bet her at like minus 155 because she looked more as a minus 400 than Kevin Vallejos did. That's something to say. Cornoli had a decent round number 1. I would have actually scored this like a 30-25. There was 2 10-8s in round number 3 and now round number 2 for Rosa, and that's the kind of shit we need more of Rosa. We need her to fight smart, not, like a standard Brazilian brain. But granted, she is going to lose her next fight because that seems to be the pattern for her. Cornoli, she brute strengths her way out of the bottom position. very often. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it did not work after she got a little bit tired, so fuck her. Ribovic defeats Brenner, fight of the night. Excellent fight of the night. He did not attack the body, which was pissing me off. I think he could have gotten Brenner out of there, but I did have Ribovic in that parlay. Great fight. Like, Brenner is the toughest janitor from shoot to box you're ever going to meet. Duncan defeats Rebecki. Now, what's interesting about this, it's another fight that I did get wrong. I did not end up betting Duncan. I just plumb forgot about it. Like, by the time I was like checking and trying to bet, I was like, oh shit, I already put all my money in this parlay, which ended up cashing, by the way, with Tyra. But with this fight, so bloody back and forth, like Rebecki has been in 3 back-to-back wars like this. And with Duncan, it's very surprising to me how he's not going down. And I'm not sure how long he can keep this streak up. Like, he is a physical dude. It's not to say he didn't have a good game plan, but I think the fact that the damage that Rebecki took in that fight was the storyteller of how the fight was going to be judged. I thought it was pretty close. I thought at a certain point Rebecki could have been given or gifted round number 1 and round number 3. Ultimately, though, like visually, Chris Duncan won the fight. Like, he did more damage. Great fight, though. Props to both men. It was a double fight of the night. For Duncan, though, it's this honeymoon ride of him winning as an underdog is going to stop eventually. It's just, we don't know when. Or is he going to trick us his way all the way to the belt? I doubt it. Tyra really shows levels against Park, right? Park, here's the thing. I have a Samsung TV. My dog stepped on the remote, turned off the fucking TV. I have to turn it back on, wait for it to load. It freezes up a little bit sometimes. Then I have to put ESPN Plus, which takes a minute for it to load. ESPN Plus sucks as an app. And then by the time I get the fight back on, Park's already on the ground and Tyra's like trying to submit him. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Apparently he got dropped with 2 right hands. And Park eventually in round number 2 got his back taken by the second or best back taker in the game in this flyweight division. And he got face cranked. Covered my parlays. It was nice. It was a nice night for me, but it shows that Tyra is like leagues above a lot of these guys. So the real story is, again, props to Park. This guy did not need to take this fight. I think they were going to give him a more suitable matchup with his skill set against Erceg, which we'll be talking about right now in the next card. The fact that he took this fight, had the balls to take this fight, that's all I really have to say. I knew Tyra was going to win. I just didn't know when he was going to win. The fact that he nearly knocked him out was not a surprise, but it would have really fucked up my parlay. But let's get into this card itself because, again, don't have really much to talk about because the first fight of the night is Cody Brundage versus Eric McConico. The odds have it in favor of Cody Brundage. I think people are betting Brundage for a reason, minus 150 plus 120 for McConico. McConico is not a UFC guy. He doesn't belong. He is, how old is he? 35 years old. Trains out of the lab. Trayshawn Gore really put a bad damper on the lab as an entire group, especially if you have that skin complexion. You're probably going to get your ass beat. McConico's a decent grappler. He has pretty decent kicks, decent power in his punches. He's a solid overall fighter, but again, he's a guy that would probably thrive fighting the guys like Nick Klein. I think him and Nick Klein could have an all-time banger in like CCFC. So will Cody. Cody, I don't want to get into the hatred I have for Cody Brundage, but this is one of these fights where he must have complained or threatened to sue the UFC or whatever. Or maybe his lovely wife, ABC, Amanda Bobby Cooper, now Amanda Bobby Brundage, must be doing favors for Dana White because the gifts that Cody Brundage keeps getting. His last fight, he got TKO'd, he lost, it got overturned to a draw. He has multiple occasions where he tries to fish a DQ, and my lord, am I praying that he gets knocked out here, but odds are he is not. He's not going to get knocked out. I think he is, at this point, the better fighter. The thing with Cody, and the last positive thing I'll say about Cody, is that he is a confidence fighter. He has wrestling, solid. Striking's pretty damn good. Good power in his punches. Decent guillotine and submissions. But when he lacks confidence, when he gets broken, when he cannot perform because he's doubting himself, This guy needs a therapist. And even years of therapy isn't going to fix the bitch quitter in him. But when there is some adversity, you'll see what happened with Sigikris Dumas, who is not a better fighter than him. He will flop and essentially give up, and his coaches will be yelling at him like, come on, Cody, do something, Cody. But here, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to be quicker. I think he's going to be the better wrestler. I think he'll knock out McConico in about first or second round. I'm going to say round number 1 because that's Cody's MO, the under 1.5. Man, am I hoping I am wrong here because I, again, am not a Cody fan. Next bout here, Gabriela Fernandes versus Dolidze Stoliarenko. Stoliarenko plus 310. If you're interested, it's going to have to be the submission line for Stoliarenko. Gabby Fernandes minus 400. I don't think Gabby is worthy of minus 400, but by default, because she's fighting Dolidze Stoliarenko, she sucks. She only has one way to win. If you survive, you're going to beat her ass. And that's essentially what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with TKO round number 2, possibly submission inside the distance for Gabriela Fernandes within the first round or so, 2 rounds. If this gets extended to round number 3, it's going to be really bad for Dolidze. She's got bad cardio. She has the ability, of course, to take the back, get the armbar. That's her move. Like, she's good at that. This is not a spot you want to bet or parlay Fernandes. You have to take the props. Fight doesn't go the distance. The under, Dolidze sub, or fight ends in sub. Whatever bullshit. The thing is, though, there is danger with Dolidze, but that danger will slowly start chipping away after the first attempt is defended. And expecting Gabriela here to really mind her P's and Q's with her limbs. Barring that, I think she's going to win this fight, and she's going to smash Stoliarenko. So give me Fernandes round number 2 as a prediction. Betting-wise, this is not going to go the distance. Next bout, we've got Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. I call him something different, but I'm not allowed to say it on the internet. Gilbert Urbina here, the RGV bad boy, plus 285. Come back on Medic is minus 350. I don't know if you caught that. My brain was just going a mile a minute as to, like, maybe I shouldn't talk about Urbina's family, given the climate. But Eros Medic should easily knock out Urbina. Urbina's not... The name Urbina is not synonymous with the UFC. They don't do very well. He may be the best fighter out of the clan, but he's probably going to get knocked out. The thing is, he has kind of bad striking defense. He leaves his chin up in the air. And Medic, he's been fighting guys like Urbina, guys that want to take him down for a while, lanky dudes. And I think he's got the good style to knock him out. Uppercuts up the middle. And I don't think Urbina's going to have that type of dominance in the first round that he needs to maybe get the back and choke out Medic. If this is a striking matchup early, I think Medic finds that knockout. Medic's not a guy you want to trust. Like in his last fight, I was so back and forth because this guy is, he's not a guy you want to trust, but he's a guy that can surprise you. Am I going to put like minus 350 laying that chalk on a guy that might surprise me and fucking lose? No, but he's probably going to knock out Urbina in the first round or 2. So yeah, give me Earl's Medic in the first round. Urbina is not long for the UFC. This guy is going to get cut. Next bout, we've got Jocelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Cachoeira. And very similar to like most of the matchups that we'll talk about is that you're going to have to outlast your opponent. And here we've got Jocelyn Edwards minus 250 to come back on Cachoeira plus 205. Cachoeira hits a lot harder than Jocelyn Edwards, but I think Jocelyn's got much better technique on the feet. I think Jocelyn's the much better and well-rounded fighter. Cachoeira, speaking about like all these issues with like Jason Herzog, and the fact that I just saw something where I think the California Commission, somebody from the commission had to have a talking with him. It reminded me of Cachoeira's debut when she fought the now champion in, why can't I think of her name, Valentina Shevchenko, and Valentina just battered her, and Yamasaki let her be a warrior. So we know how tough Cachoeira is. She's going to be tough to knock out or to finish, but what she isn't tough to do is take down. She's getting better at her takedown defense by brute strengthening that shit, just getting the underhooks and stuffing, but I think Jocelyn Edwards is a lot craftier. I don't foresee her getting knocked out here by Cachoeira, which I think is the only method of victory for Priscilla. Now, if Priscilla moves forward and starts like winging and tries to like catch her with that uppercut's nasty. She's gotten that on multiple occasions. In her last fight, she got it. But I've always said like the plan to beat Cachoeira is to take her down. I think Edwards at 29, she's been in the UFC for years now. She's fought really good competition, even fought Carol Hosa. I think at this point it is Jocelyn Edwards' time. I think she can actually finish Cachoeira. I think she's too quick on the feet. I think she moves well. I think she, as long as she doesn't miss weight, I know at a certain point she was having issues, but as long as she comes in right, I think she's going to style on Cachoeira. We're going to see a much better, more complete version of Jocelyn Edwards, and I do expect her to grapple, and I do expect her to just be the better fighter here. Now, if she gets caught, what are you going to do? But ultimately, I do think Jocelyn is going to win as a pure pick. I don't know if I want to bet Edwards. Let me check to see, though, if her odds have gotten a bit better. If she's like minus 150, I would not mind laying that chalk on her. But no, she's actually gone way up. She's like minus 300-ish by now. But yeah, give me Edwards by decision here. It's very easy for her just to like mix in those takedowns, get on top, take the back, even possibly pound her out. But yeah, Cachoeira is tough. She can catch you, but other than that, not really much of a threat. Like, she's not going to be able to outbox Edwards, but she can out-brawl Edwards. It's just, will Edwards get caught in that brawl? I doubt it. All right, next bout, we've got Elijah Smith versus Toshomi Kazama. Kazama is plus 370 comeback on Smith. He's roughly floating around at like minus 700, which is like, you can't bet the kid anymore. He should beat Kazama. Kazama is one of the bigger bums in the UFC. I'm surprised they still keep him around. But he is a finisher. He can submit you. He's going to try to grapple here. The fact that he got a win in the UFC is still flabbergasting to me, because I actually bet Grigoru I was pretty convinced he was going to knock him out, but we find out that Grigoru is a big fucking bum. And Kazama was able to submit him because he tired himself out trying to finish Kazama. And Kazama's not hard to finish, okay? If you have good boxing, you're going to beat the shit out of Kazama. Smith does have that. Smith is more than likely going to TKO Kazama in the first 2 rounds. Smith has a nice jab. The thing with Smith is, we don't need to talk about what we need to talk about with Smith quite yet. We understand that this kid is still very young. He's 22. He's a daddy's boy. Whatever. We'll talk about that in his next fight when he has a tougher competition. But if he cucks this fight, which he is kind of known to maybe like gas out, I don't see that happening. He's already fought a tough dude in Vince Morales. He was teetering below minus 200 in that fight, in a fight where I thought he was a much better fighter. Luckily, I ended up cashing him at like minus 130 or something like that. Probably one of my better bets. He showed what we needed to see in that toughness, in that ability to beat a guy that's going to put the pressure on him, decent boxing in himself and Morales, and the threat of the submission. And he looked good defending those subs. This is a very big letdown spot when it comes to Smith. He again is still very inexperienced, but he has everything in the toolbox to be able to defeat Kazama. If he fucks this up, I'm going to be very upset, because I don't want to see Kazama in the UFC anymore. He's not a guy I want to keep taping. He's not a guy I need to, oh, wow, he might have a chance here if he gets the back. No, he's going to get knocked out. So, yeah, give me Smith by knockout in the first round. I think he can get it done. He just needs to be very smart. The fact that in the Morales fight he showed a lot of patience tells me everything I need to know. If you are patient and you select your shots, you will be popping the head back like a Pez dispenser against Kazama. And you'll get that sweet, sweet, gooey prize inside of that Pez, which is a finish against the silent finisher. So yeah, give me Smith first round knockout. Next bout, we've got Julius Walker versus Rafael Cerquira. I have bet Cerquira in his last 2 fights, not because I think he's good, but because I think he's got a chance to win. The problem with Cerquira is, well, let me get to the odds. We've got Julius Walker minus, where's he at? Minus 600 comeback on Cerquira, plus 430, 400, roughly around that, in the 400 range. Now, Julius Walker it's sad that he is this big of a favorite for losing a fight against a guy that I don't consider to be very good in what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Alonzo Menifield. I think Menifield is highly overrated, and the fact that he went to a split decision and made Julius Walker look good is a testament to how bad Alonzo Menifield is. He's just an athletic freak and he's very strong. Cerquira. I don't want to get in too deep with Cerquira, but he will have the jiu-jitsu. He will have a decent striking advantage. I think he's decent on the feet, better than Walker. The problem with Cerquira that you must always consider if you are like me and will bet Cerquira, I'm going to bet him again because I'm going to keep going in that well. You know, it's like when you're trying to break up with that girl, that fat girl you just don't want to see anymore, but she's offering it up. Like, you go back in the well one more time and hope for the best. Just pray that she doesn't call you at like 3 a.m. saying like, hey, we need to talk. Pregnancy test came back and I'm like, oh shit, got to split. Anyway, Cerquira, don't get caught in that trap of Cerquira. Just be aware. If you're going to bet the guy, just be 100% aware that this guy has a horrible chin. And it's not even his chin that I'm like the worst concerned about. Like, I know he's got a bad chin, but will Walker actually crack him? Maybe. It's going to be awkward if he does. But the biggest concern I have about Cerquira is the dude has no heart and he does not understand how to fight through adversity, because this is an issue with undefeated fighters in the regional scenes. This guy was fighting the fattest, dumbest heavyweights in like the deepest, darkest parts of Brazil. They were finding dudes for him to just style on, kick the shit out of. And in that process, he looked good. He developed good striking skills, kicks to the body. He has some jiu-jitsu. I know he trains with Jailton Almeida. But at what point are we going to be seeing his grappling? Against his last opponent in, what's his name, Modestas, he was landing some really hard shots on Modestas. Against his last opponent, Modestas Bukauskas, he was landing some really good shots on him that I was surprised he didn't go down by. Like, really strong right hands, like from a mile away, and they were fast. The issue is he felt comfortable there because he was landing, and then the one moment he got clipped, he did not know how to react because he's never been in that situation at the regional scene where he got cracked. He was just running through his opponents, and he's never been in that like, oh, how do I fight out of this position where I'm rocked? Thus, he keeps getting knocked out against the cage because he doesn't know how to, I don't know, clinch up or just kind of clear his cobwebs or do anything other than just zombie out. So that's what I'm worried about with Julius Walker, because Julius is not better than Cerquera. He's younger, he's hungrier, 100 times better chin. He was eating some shots from Alonzo that I was surprised he didn't go down. So that's the biggest worry. But skill for skill, I do think Cerquera is probably better than our boy here. So what, again, I am worried the most about is the chin of Cerquera. How is it going to ultimately, react to maybe a knee landing for Julius Walker in the clinch, or maybe he just throws something goofy and it cracks Cerquera. That's my biggest worry. So knowing that, I will be going light on Cerquera, but fuck it, I might as well again go back into that well. Hopefully I don't get that call about the pregnancy. Give me Cerquera by, I'm not going to say finish. Well, fuck it, I will go finish. I think he's got the ability to actually do so. So give me Cerquera here by, give me one, by knockout in, let's say, the second round. I think he does have that kind of power, and I'm interested to see how he does on the mat with Walker. Walker comes from like a basketball background, I believe, maybe even volleyball. I don't fucking remember. Some sport with a ball where he has to be tall. And I've seen the guy maybe give up bad position. He is a bit relentless with the takedowns. So I'm just very curious how this fight's going to play out. I do think that maybe Cerquera is one of the more live dogs in this fight card. It's just, again, for how long. So give me Cerquira by second round TKO. Next bout, we've got Erceg versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Anders, he's 38 years old. He's coming in here at plus 425. Come back on Duncan minus 575. This is going to be probably the most disappointing fight of the night. I think it's going to be a Duncan decision or a possible flying knee knockout. More than likely one of those two. I don't think Duncan should be minus 575, but with these odds makers, with the bookies are making you pay that premium on the guy that's more than likely going to win by a decision. Let's be honest here. More than likely. Erceg is going to try to grapple. Duncan's become a bit of a clinch merchant himself as of late, even though he has flashy striking. He just is a bit of a bitch when it comes to it. I think that fight with RoboCop, where he thought, like, I'm going to take him down and pound him out like these other bums, I would do so. He hasn't been showing that flash, and I don't think he has the kind of power in the punches to truly hurt elite competition, but he does have good elbows and he does have good knees. So that's why I'm thinking if, say, Anders tries to jump in there and try to dive for the legs, he might get caught with a knee. And he's done it in the past. Duncan has. Anders at this point, he's up there in age. How much am I really wanting to bet him? I think the youth of Duncan is going to get him through this fight. The speed, the experience, the fact that he's not going to gas out. He's been in 3-round fights and he's been clinching more and just trying to grapple himself. I expect really Duncan to win by a decision. It's just what scares me about betting this fight again. If you put him on a parlay, he's probably going to win at these odds. It's just, again, if you want to get sneaky and you want to take him by knockout or by decision, I think there's more of a risk that Duncan can screw you over that way than actually taking him money line. And that is like you go by decision and Anders finds a way to get knocked out and you're pissed off. Or you go by knockout and then Duncan just clinches him up for fucking 3 rounds and takes the position. They're just rolling around in the cage, and Duncan, eventually being the slightly taller guy here, is just going to be on his tippy toes holding him there. And then, Anders gasses out and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, Anders is going to want to try to take it to the ground. And because on the feet, he has more power. He just is not the speedier guy. The kicks are going to be there for Duncan. I think it's just Duncan's fight to lose, really. And I don't think he's going to lose to 38-year-old Erceg. So moving on, we've got Miles Johns versus John Matsumoto. Minus 185 for Matsumoto. What's the time here? And Johns is plus 225. A bit of a disrespect to Johns. Here's the thing. I am high on Matsumoto. I think this guy has the skills, and he's very good. And I actually thought he got fucked over in his last fight. I thought he won that split decision. But again, he put himself in that split decision, and he ended up getting the raw deal. With Johns, he does have the power. He does have the wrestling advantage. And I think this fight plays out very similar to the Felipe Lima fight with Miles Johns. I think John Matsumoto is a very good, like, back-and-forth coin. We got John Matsumoto and Felipe Lima. I think Matsumoto's a little bit cleaner. He's more well-rounded, less of a bitch when it comes to, like, the fighting game. I think Matsumoto is just pretty damn good, I'll just say. And I think he can win this fight by being very safe. Very similar output, like hard low kicks. This dude's been in some good wars before. The only issue is that will Johns have a ton of success taking him down? I've specifically bet against Matsumoto against wrestlers because I've always thought about this guy like this guy's solid as shit. But when it comes to guys that really just want to hold you down, how well has he done against that? I bet Dan Argueta to do so, and he was doing well up until he got caught with that guillotine. So that is something to deter the grappling, is that pretty solid-ass guillotine. But give me Matsumoto to win this one, just putting on a solid performance against Miles Johns. Johns, as we know, has a big right hand. He's got wrestling, but he has become the Tyron Woodley of bantamweight. And if you don't recall who Tyron Woodley is, if you don't know who he is, you don't need to search him up. The guy would just stand there, look at you, and throw one punch and hope that it would hurt you, and then he would end up winning decisions doing that shit. Just doing fuck all. Holding you up against the cage. God-awful shit. Anyways, give me Matsumoto here by a decision. Next bout, we've got Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. Minus 215 on Rodriguez. Let me make sure the odds have not flipped. I think people are going to be mostly on Rodriguez. Fili here, plus 180. Fili is a guy that like the myth of Fili is more impressive than Fili himself. The myth being that this guy's gone to like close fights with really good competition, and this guy has been training with Uriah Faber for years at Team Alpha Male. This guy's got good this, he's got good that. He does. Like we often see like glimpses of magic from Fili where he can get a knockout against some decent competition, or he nearly destroys dudes and he looks better than ever. But then in his next fight, he'll get viciously knocked out, or his next fight, he'll nearly lose a fight to a guy like Bill Algeo. And looking at his record, it's like a win-loss record. So he more or less is due for a win, but that Mel Costa fight was a big eye-opener for me. And it's not because Mel and C-Rod also went to like a pretty damn close fight. It's that the way that fight went, he had zero success against Mel Costa. He was getting kicked from the outside. He looked slow. He looked tentative. He was more or less fighting, I think, at home, I believe, right? I think he is from that area, like Seattle, when he was fighting. The issue was this guy got put in a guillotine. He gets out of it, puts himself back into the guillotine, and taps out. And at this point, I'm thinking, how much more does Fili have? How much more does he want to fight? C-Rod, he's 27. This guy, if you tell him that Andre Fili is an undefeated prospect, he's going to come out here and fucking destroy Fili. The issue with Christian is very similar, is that he's got all the skills. Like, and it's not that it's the same where he has a myth behind him. You see how good Christian is. He sometimes lacks the ability to execute. I think very similar to a lot of other fighters, if he doesn't have that same kind of confidence, he kind of lacks there. I think he does very well with grapplers. And when you look at the people he's defeated, it's been guys that can't hold him down, because this guy is a fucking squirmy little bastard. I don't want to get into that whole thing that I started about him being gay, but let's just say, like, maybe he's got a lot of history trying to escape. Maybe he was one of the first Diddy victims. I don't know. He's just very, very oily, let's just say. He's very hard to hold down. Very good at Granby rolls, very good at escaping subs, very good at putting you in subs. Maybe you would call him a dom. I don't know. But with C-Rod, the dude seems to have issues with guys with like lanky, striking body types. And now he's fighting a similar guy here. If you look at his last few losses, the Costa fight, really hard for him to actually do much against Costa because of that body type. He was having a lot of success, and he gets taken down. But other dudes like a Bashi, for example. Bashi, a grappler, big muscular guy. Dolgarian, grappler, big muscular dude. Even his first guy that he upset, which was Raul Rosas, very similar. He gassed him out and showed him what's up. But I think in this case, like, he has the experience losing to the same kind of guy, but he's fighting the same kind of guy who himself will maybe check out a bit early. So I think Christian, as long as he doesn't do anything stupid, he should win this fight. I think he's more than competent to either submit Fili, but odds are he's going to put on a striking matchup with him where he's going to be the quicker guy and win a pretty comfortable decision here. More than likely, it could be a 29-28, but I do expect Christian to win. But at these odds, I have no interest in Christian. I think Christian's the kind of guy you need to bet as a dog, because he'll bring that dog out. But when he's a favorite, I think he just becomes a little bit of a chihuahua, a little oiled up chihuahua. Next bout, we've got Yasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill. Minus 185 for Lucindo. Come back on Hill is plus 155. These are some of these matchups that I don't want to overthink. Angela Hill, 40 years old. We've seen her win at 40 years old. She's plus money here against a young girl, 23, who hasn't fully displayed that she has like the experience or the fight IQ to truly win high-level fights. In her last fight, she was the favorite against, what's her name? Amanda Lemos, where I think everyone and their mom was on Lucinda to win this one by decision. But again, Lemos showed her that, like, hey, you're still a bit young. You might have, say, 20-some fights under your belt, but you haven't fought the same level of competition I have. I can put you in spots that you're not used to. Angela Hill, on the other hand, although she also has fought very good competition, she is slowing down. We saw that in the last fight with, again, a lady who I think sucks, in Ketlin Souza, and she nearly lost that fight. I think Lucindo Lucindo has everything to truly gain in this matchup. Not only the victory, not only a win over Angela Hill, who within itself it's like beating Neil Magny. It's a nice name to have on your record. But on top of that, she has to display that new level of fight IQ. She's done some shit that I just don't like. Like she's getting like hurt by ladies she should be easily beating, like what's her name, Rodriguez. Yeah, Marina Rodriguez. Like that was a little too close for my liking. In here, though, I think she will be the more physical girl. She will eventually start cracking Angela Hill. She will eventually start taking her down. I think it's just going to be moment winning occasions that is going to win Lucindo the fight. It could be close because we know how Angela is a bit. She's a vet, but I think Lucinda's going to win this one by a decision. I think it's going to look closer than what it actually is because, again, Hill tends to make fights a bit close, but I think Lucindo's just going to edge it out each round by just landing a bit harder, maybe being a bit more aggressive, and implementing a little bit more of the clinching and trying to take down Angela Hill. And Angela, I think, will eventually slow down. But in that first round, Angela's very good. She will try to get a submission. She will push the pace, try to tire you out. And if Lucindo is not ready for that, it's probably not going to be your night. The thing with Lucindo is she has to be prepared for the worst in the first round because eventually Angie will slow down and you can take over. But if you make Angie work, don't give her the back foot. Don't let her walk you against the cage. You push her bitch ass to the back of the cage. Uh-oh, that might get me in trouble. Anyways, give me Lucindo by a decision. Next bout, Steve Erceg versus Ode Osbourne. Ode taking this fight on short notice. Steve minus 400, Ode plus 300. Ode by knockout is like an insta bet. You have to try that because Ode in the first round is super good, but eventually Ode will slow down. Ode will do what he does best, and that's look bad. He is on the no he's been on the no fucking fly list for a while. This guy is so talented, but he's got Jamaica brain. He's got curry brain. He's got oxtail brain. Just mush. This dude is he's so bad sometimes. Like his brain just escapes him. The fact that he was a teacher, I believe, at one point and mentoring children, it just makes me sad for those kids. Ode's so damn good. He's a specimen. He's fast. He's solid everywhere. He hits fucking hard, but he's just not very bright. And you can out grapple him. You can take him down. And against Gurule, I really wanted to pick him outright. I bet Ode, but like picking him is different because that's me saying, hey, I am putting my chips on this guy officially with my brand behind him, but like I can't trust him to say like, hey, I think he's gonna win. I think he's got a chance to like upset the apple cart by landing some bullshit and knocking him out. But Gurule was doing really well. Eventually he knocked him out. But that's not like a standard thing that we're gonna see. It's not a viable game plan, losing until you get a knockout. Because if he doesn't finish Steve or hurt him, Steve is going to chip away at him. Steve's not as bad as some people are saying he is. He is going to have the grappling advantage. I think he's a wily dude. It's just at this point, where is his confidence at? Prior to the Pantoja fight, this dude was like fearless. He was out there fighting every fight. And now it's like he is trying to I think he's more focused on trying not to lose, that he's not figuring out how to win a fight. And that's what scares me here at these odds against Ode Osbourne, who, he's used to being in that position of like, I've been choked out and got my ass beat multiple times, but I'm not going anywhere because I can produce exciting moments. Erceg, on the other hand, he has that Pantoja fight, nearly becomes champ, he gets knocked out in his next fight, and then he very predictably loses in Mexico to Brandon Moreno pretty accurately, as I explained. Like, I think he's going to do well, but not enough to win the fight. Maybe in some people's eyes he could have, but he's not going to win in Mexico. So here he absolutely positively needs to win. And I want him to win because I can continue doing his voice, which, I can't do right now. I'm a little too tired for it. Steve Erceg, he's going to beat that pussy. And that's what he does. Anyways, Steve Erceg is a big dick machine, apparently, in the streets of Perth and Western Sydney. Apparently he's known for pounding their ladies. But I want Steve to win. This guy, he's a nice guy. I want to see him do well. I've always kind of liked Steve, as a personal dude. Like, he just seems like a nice stand-up gentleman with a lisp, and I like doing his voice. But give me Erceg to win this one by a decision or possibly a finish in the later rounds. With Ode taking this on short notice, he's going to have to come out here very fast and very hot. And there's a good chance there he can finish him. Thus, maybe live betting Steve would be the right move. But yeah, give me Erceg by decision because, again, he absolutely positively needs to win this fight. Expect him to grapple more. All right, main event here. Roman the Caucasian Dolidze versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. What scares me the most about the matchup isn't the fact that it's Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez, and Roman's kind of like this big brute. It's the fact that, his nickname is the Caucasian, and he's fighting a Mexican, and those tend not to go well for the Mexicans. So, yeah, we've got a 37-year-old Dolidze. He is plus 260. Come back on Fluffy is minus 310. So, here's my thought with this, just to be brief. I'm going to take Fluffy. I'm not going to I'm going to give you all these thoughts. I'm not going to bet him. I'm going to take him later. I might live bet him. The thing with Fluffy is that there's always a good chance. What am I taking here? I'm taking TKO round number 5. There's a good chance he can get finished early. The problem with Fluffy, you're not paying minus 310 for Fluffy Hernandez for 5 rounds. You're paying for minus 310 after round number 2, possibly round number 3. That's when he's going to look 310 and beyond if he makes it there. If he doesn't make it there, boy howdy, he's not going to look anything close to minus 310. Dolidze, what we know about him is that the dude can, I don't want to say he can strike. He can definitely strike. He hits hard. I don't think his striking technique is pretty. I think he is getting less durable. I think he is overconfident in his grappling and his leg locks, which are exquisite. It's just that he needs to have that massive threat where you absolutely positively need to take him down. Thus, he can work his ground game because he's fucking nasty. I don't need to tell you how nasty he is. We've seen it. Him versus Hermanson was disgusting. Him versus Phil Hawes was disgusting. Pops his leg out of the mercy of his own heart, lets him back up, and then he knocks him out viciously. So he does hit hard. But this dude is not looking as good as some people think. In his last fight against Marvin, the thing with Marvin is I think Marvin was beating his ass, but then he just stopped. And then Roman just was throwing more output, not landing as clean, and Roman won the fight based off of that. That's my perspective on it. Like, I know people might call bullshit on it, but to me, I think Marvin was like landing the more impactful strikes, even hurting Roman. It's just he stopped fighting, and that's what kind of sucked him. I don't know if it was like mental shit with his brother or whatever. I'm not positive, but it was just not a good look for Marvin. And even a worse look for Roman, despite he won that fight. It was very surprising that his durability has gone kind of down. What we know about Fluffy is that he's going to have the cardio advantage. Against Imavov, we saw Roman get pretty beat up bad. He took some nasty shots there. And in the later rounds, we did see him slow. He still put up a good fight, but the issue here is that Fluffy is, as he calls himself, a kickboxer. I think I just recently heard him say, like, I hate grappling. It's just easier for me because I don't break my hands. And frankly, he's really fucking good at it. So that's a props to him. But if he's going to come out here and strike with Dolidze, it's going to be scary because he's always been a bit of a liability with the body. And on top of that, like, he hits hard. I have no quarrels with Hernandez striking. It's just if he does get hit by Roman awkwardly, will he try to go for an early takedown and then maybe, get swept or reversed? I don't know. But I do have faith in Anthony in this fight to win pretty decisively after round number 1 and even more decisively after round number 2. It's just he has to get it there. That's more or less what the issue is with Fluffy. Once you get past a certain point, he's going to take off, and it's going to be like a snowball rolling down a hill. He's going to eventually squish you. So I do think he can finish Dolidze. I think he can TKO him in the 5th or the 4th round. Dolidze's tough, but I am going to go with Fluffy here. It's just you got to be careful with Roman. Like, if Roman cracks you, especially to the body, I can see Fluffy making a face, and Roman kind of rushes him. And then what is Fluffy going to do there? He's going to try to shoot for a takedown. Will he get caught in a guillotine? I do think that Roman's submission ability is a bit overhyped, overrated. I know he does have a jiu-jitsu black belt. He is solid. He's got championships under his belt. The issue with him is that like he does like to strike a bit more. I think he is more willing to engage in the grappling when he gets taken down. So that's more or less what his game plan is. Like, I'm gonna bulldoze you over here. I'm gonna big brother you, and then you're gonna be forced to take me down. And I'm gonna fuck you up on the ground. But with Fluffy, I think he's just too fucking slick. I think he is too damn good. He's too fast with his wrestling. He's very aware of how not to get submitted or swept. So give me Fluffy by a decision. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments regarding this entire fight. Everybody's so overpriced that, again, I don't feel comfortable really betting too much. I might, again, bet on Rafael Cerquira or whatever the fuck his stupid name is. I might need to forget it because if he loses this fight, he's fucking gone. But I think he might be the best dog of the card. It's going to bite me in the ass when he gets knocked the fuck out by Julius Walker, of all people. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Johnny Tigerbomb. I will see you next week.